The Greendale Mall sits on 12 acres of prime suburban real estate, surrounded by a parking lot that holds 3,000 cars and a reputation as the nicest shopping center within 50 miles. 3 stories of gleaming glass and polished marble, a Nordstrom on one end, a Neiman Marcus on the other. The kind of place where women who lunch spend their husband's money and teenagers beg their parents for the latest overpriced sneakers. The kind of place where certain people are welcome and certain people are watched. At exactly 2:34 in the afternoon, a silver 2019 Honda Accord pulls into the parking lot. Not the closest spot to the entrance. The driver chose one further away, near the edge of the lot, with clear sightlines to the exits. An unconscious choice. The kind of positioning that gets drilled into you after 40 years of training until it becomes as natural as breathing. The driver's door opens. A 58-year-old black woman steps out into the Virginia sunshine. She's wearing a simple navy blue cardigan over a white cotton blouse, comfortable khaki pants, and sensible flat shoes, the kind that are made for walking, not for showing off. Her hair is gray, natural, cropped close to her head in a style that's practical rather than fashionable. Small gold stud earrings catch the light. No other jewelry except a modest Timex watch on her left wrist. She reaches into the back seat and retrieves a worn leather purse. The kind of purse that cost $30 at a department store and lasts 30 years, because it was made when things were still made to last. It was a gift from her grandmother. She's carried it for 2 decades. She looks ordinary, unremarkable, like a retired teacher, maybe, or a church secretary, or someone's favorite aunt who always remembers birthdays and bakes the best sweet potato pie. She looks like exactly what they expect her to look like. And that's the first mistake everyone makes. The woman takes a deep breath, fills her lungs with spring air, allows herself a small smile. For the first time in 3 weeks, General Victoria Hayes, 4-star general, commander of United States Army Forces Command, the largest command in the entire U.S. Army, responsible for the training and readiness of over 750,000 soldiers, has no meetings, no briefings, no decisions that will affect the lives of thousands, no classified documents requiring her signature, no calls from the Pentagon, no crises requiring her immediate attention. Today, Victoria Hayes is just a woman shopping for her goddaughter's birthday present, or so she thinks, because inside the Greendale Mall, in a small windowless room filled with security monitors, a man named Wayne Bridges is watching her walk across the parking lot. His eyes track her movement on the screen. His hand reaches for the radio on his desk. "Got one," he says. Black female, late 50s, navy sweater. Heading toward entrance C. She's got that look. The look, that means she doesn't belong. The look, that means she's probably going to steal something. The look, that means money for Wayne Bridges, who gets a $200 kickback for every shoplifting arrest processed through a security office. An arrangement he's had with the Westbrook Police Department for 4 years. An arrangement that has targeted 237 shoppers in that time, 73% of them black, in a mall where black shoppers make up 12% of the customer base. But Wayne doesn't know he just made the biggest mistake of his life. He doesn't know that the woman in the navy cardigan has commanded soldiers in combat zones across 3 continents. He doesn't know that she's received the Distinguished Service Medal, the Legion of Merit with 4 oak leaf clusters, and the Bronze Star. He doesn't know that she's briefed presidents and advised secretaries of defense and made decisions that shaped the course of military history. He sees a black woman in comfortable clothes, and he sees a target. Copy that. The voice crackles back on the radio. Officers Tanner and Morris are in the food court, dispatching now. In exactly 47 minutes, a convoy of black SUVs will surround this mall. Federal agents will seal every exit. Military police will secure the perimeter. And Officer Derek Tanner will learn a lesson he will never, ever forget. But first, let me tell you who General Victoria Hayes really is, and how a sharecropper's great-granddaughter became the most powerful woman in the United States Army. Victoria Marie Hayes was born on January 19, 1966, in a cinder block house outside Selma, Alabama. The house had 2 rooms, a wood-burning stove, and a tin roof that leaked when it rained. There was no running water. No electricity until she was 9 years old. The outhouse was 50 yards from the back door, and in winter, you learned to be fast. Her great-grandfather had been born a slave on a cotton plantation 20 miles away. Her grandfather had been a sharecropper on the same land, working soil that had been soaked with the sweat and blood of his ancestors, paying rent to the descendants of the men who had owned his father. Her mother picked cotton until her fingers bled, walking 6 miles each way to the fields because black folks weren't allowed to ride the bus. This was Alabama in 1966. The Civil Rights Act had been passed 2 years before, the Voting Rights Act 1 year before. But in the small towns outside Selma, the old ways died hard. Colored water fountains, separate entrances, eyes cast downward when white folks passed. Victoria's father, James Hayes, was a Korean War veteran. He had served with the all-black 24th Infantry Regiment, had been wounded at the Battle of Pusan, had received a Bronze Star for dragging 3 wounded soldiers to safety under enemy fire. He came home to a country that wouldn't serve him at a lunch counter. He couldn't find work. No one would hire a black man with ideas above his station, and military service had given James Hayes ideas. Ideas about dignity, about equality, about what a man could become if given half a chance. So he did what black men in the South had been doing since the end of slavery. He moved, packed up his wife and infant daughter, and drove north to Chicago, where the factories were hiring anyone willing to work, and the color of your skin mattered a little less than the strength of your back. James Hayes worked the night shift at a steel mill for 27 years. He never missed a day, never complained, never stopped believing that his daughter could have the life he never did. "You're going to be somebody, Vic," he told her every night before bed. "Not because of what you look like, but because of what's in here." He would tap her forehead, and in here, he would tap her chest, over her heart. "They can't take that from you. No matter what they say, no matter what they do, what's inside, that's yours forever." Victoria took those words to heart. By the time she was 12, she was the best student in her school, reading 3 grade levels ahead, solving math problems that stumped her teachers, asking questions that made adults uncomfortable. By 15, she had won a scholarship to a private high school on the North Shore, becoming one of 4 black students in a class of 200. She learned to be twice as good to be considered half as equal. She learned to code switch, proper English with teachers, South Side vernacular with friends, the careful neutrality of someone who lived in 2 worlds and fully belonged in neither. She learned that excellence was not enough, that she would always have to prove herself again and again to people who had already decided what she was capable of. And she learned that the military, her father's military, despite everything it had done and failed to do, was one of the few places in America where a black person could advance on merit. In 1984, Victoria Hayes enrolled in the Reserve Officers Training Corps at Northwestern University. She was one of 6 women in her ROTC class, the only black woman. The harassment started on day 1. Anonymous notes in her locker, whispered comments about affirmative action, a senior cadet who told her she should quit before she embarrassed herself, an instructor who marked her down on evaluations despite her perfect scores. She didn't quit. She graduated top of her ROTC class. She was commissioned as a 2nd lieutenant in the United States Army. She requested infantry and was denied because women weren't allowed in combat arms in 1988. So she chose military intelligence instead, where she could at least be close to the action. Her first assignment was Fort Huachuca, Arizona. Her commander took one look at her, young, black, female, and assigned her to administrative duties. Paperwork, filing, the kind of work they gave to officers they didn't expect to amount to anything. She did the paperwork. She did it perfectly, and in her off hours she trained, ran until her lungs burned, shot until her groupings were tighter than anyone else in the company, studied intelligence doctrine until she knew it better than officers twice her age. When a position opened up for Assistant S2, the intelligence staff officer, she applied. Her commander laughed. "Hayes, you're a good secretary. Let's not get ahead of ourselves." She applied anyway. She got the job, and that was the beginning. Over the next 3 decades, Victoria Hayes became one of the most remarkable soldiers in American history, though almost no one knew her name. She served in Desert Storm, providing intelligent analysis that helped identify Iraqi command and control nodes. Her work contributed to the fastest military victory in modern history. She received no public recognition. She served in Bosnia, working 18-hour days to track war criminals and coordinate with NATO allies. She helped bring 3 indicted war criminals to justice. Her name never appeared in any news report. She served in Afghanistan, arriving 3 weeks after September 11, 2001. She ran intelligence operations that helped dismantle al-Qaeda networks across the region. She lost soldiers under her command. The first time she had to write letters to families, explaining that their sons and daughters had died fighting an enemy that most Americans couldn't find on a map. She learned what command really meant, not just giving orders, carrying weight, the weight of lives that depended on her decisions. She served in Iraq during the surge, helping coordinate the intelligence that identified and neutralized insurgent cells in Baghdad. She was wounded twice, shrapnel in her shoulder during a convoy attack, a concussion from an IED that left her with headaches for a year afterward. She received the Bronze Star. The citation was classified, and through it all, she rose. Captain, Major, Lieutenant Colonel, Colonel, Brigadier General, the first black woman to pin on a star in Army intelligence. Every promotion was a fight. Every advancement came with whispers. Affirmative action. Diversity hire. She must have slept her way up. She's only there because they needed a black face. She heard it all. She ignored it all. She worked harder. She got better. She proved them wrong so many times that eventually, even the doubters had to admit the truth. Victoria Hayes was exceptional. Not exceptional for a woman. Not exceptional for a black officer. Just exceptional. In 2022, she received her 4th star. She became the commanding general of United States Army Forces Command, the largest command in the Army, responsible for training and readiness of active duty and reserve soldiers across the entire country. She was the first black woman to hold the position. She was the first black woman to achieve 4-star rank in Army history. The ceremony was held at Fort Liberty, formerly Fort Bragg. Her father, 92 years old and confined to a wheelchair, was there. He cried when they pinned on the 4th star, not from sadness, from a joy so overwhelming that his body didn't know how else to express it. His daughter, the baby he had carried out of Alabama, in the back seat of a rusted Buick, the girl he had told every night that she was going to be somebody. She was somebody. She was a 4-star general. And in exactly 23 minutes, she's going to be handcuffed in a suburban shopping mall by a cop who sees nothing but the color of her skin. From a cinder block house with no running water, to commanding 750,000 soldiers. From a father who couldn't get served at a lunch counter, to a daughter who advises presidents. For stars on her shoulders, the weight of history on her back. And she's about to be treated like a criminal because she went shopping in the wrong skin. This is a story they don't teach in schools. This is a reality they don't show on the news. This is what happens every single day to black Americans who have the audacity to exist in spaces where they're not expected. If this story is already hitting you, if you're already feeling what I'm feeling, then you know why this channel exists. We tell the hidden tales, the stories that get buried, the warriors who never get their due. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications, because what happens next in this story, you don't want to miss it. Drop a comment right now. Tell me where you're watching from. Atlanta, Georgia. Houston, Texas. London, Lagos, Los Angeles. Wherever you are, check in. We're building a community here. A community that believes these stories deserve to be told. Now let's go back to the Greendale Mall. Because General Hayes just walked through those doors, and the clock is ticking. The air conditioning hits Victoria like a wave as she walks through the automatic doors. That artificial cold that American buildings pump out like it's a competition. She pauses just inside the entrance, allowing her eyes to adjust from the bright sunshine to the softer indoor lighting. The mall is busy for a Saturday afternoon. Families with children, Teenagers traveling in packs. Elderly couples walking slowly, hand in hand. She checks the directory. Nordstrom is straight ahead, then left of the fountain. That's where her goddaughter mentioned wanting a specific perfume. Something called Chance by Chanel. Victoria has never been much for perfume herself. In the field, you learn that scent can get you killed. But Maya is turning 16, and a 16-year-old girl wants what she wants. Victoria walks. She doesn't know that eyes are tracking her. She doesn't know that Wayne Bridges is watching her on a security monitor, noting her path through the mall, radioing her location to the officers waiting in the food court. She doesn't know that Officer Derek Tanner has already decided she's guilty. He's dealt with her type before. Nice clothes that they probably can't afford. Walking slow like they belong. Looking at merchandise they have no intention of buying. He knows the type. He's made a career out of the type. 237 arrests in 4 years. Not all of them stuck. Some got lawyers who asked too many questions. Some produced receipts that checked out. But enough of them paid fines, did community service, or took plea deals to avoid the hassle of fighting the charges. It's a good system. For Wayne Bridges, who gets his kickback. For Derek Tanner, who gets his arrest statistics. For the Westbrook Police Department, which gets to claim it's tough on retail crime. The only people it's not good for are the ones in handcuffs. But they don't count. They never count. Victoria enters Nordstrom. The perfume counter is near the entrance, staffed by a young woman with too much makeup and a practiced smile. Can I help you find something? Yes, please. I'm looking for Chanel Chance. The Eau Tendre version, I believe. The saleswoman's smile flickers for just a moment. That micro-expression that says she's surprised by the request, surprised by the specific product knowledge, surprised that this woman in the modest clothes knows what she wants. But she recovers quickly. This is Nordstrom. Customer service is everything. Of course. The Eau Tendre is lovely. Is it for yourself or a gift? A gift? My goddaughter is turning 16. How wonderful. Would you like me to gift wrap it? Please. The transaction takes 4 minutes. Victoria pays with her personal credit card, a Chase Sapphire that has accumulated enough points from military travel to fund a small vacation. The saleswoman wraps the perfume in elegant paper, ties it with a ribbon, places it in a Nordstrom bag. The receipt is in the bag with the gift. Is there anything else I can help you with? No, thank you. You've been very helpful. Victoria takes the bag and walks toward the exit. She's thinking about Maya, about how fast she's growing up, about the young woman she's becoming, about the complicated world she'll have to navigate. She's thinking about her father, who is home in Chicago, probably watching television and waiting for her to call. She's not thinking about the 2 police officers who are now walking directly toward her. She should be. Part 5. The stop. Ma'am. The voice comes from directly in front of her. Victoria looks up. 2 police officers. 1 male, 1 female. The male officer is tall, thick around the middle, with the aggressive posture of someone who's already decided how this interaction is going to go. His hand rests on his belt, near his weapon. His jaw is set. His eyes are small and hard. The female officer stands slightly behind and to the left. Younger. Blonde hair pulled back tight. Something in her expression that looks almost uncomfortable, like she doesn't want to be here, but doesn't know how to say so. Ma'am, the male officer repeats, I'm going to need you to stop right there. Victoria stops. Not because she's afraid. Not because she feels guilty. Because she has spent 40 years learning when to fight and when to observe. And right now, she wants to observe. Is there a problem, officer? We've received a report of shoplifting from this store. The officer, his name tag reads Tanner, gestures vaguely toward the Nordstrom behind her. I'm going to need to see what's in that bag. Victoria feels a familiar weight settle onto her shoulders. The weight she's carried her entire life. The weight of being seen before being known. She could end this right now. She could pull out her military ID. She could mention her rank. She could watch this officer's face transform from smug certainty to terrified realization. But something stops her. Maybe it's curiosity. She wants to see how far this goes. She wants to understand the system she's caught in. Maybe it's strategy. She knows that her aide, Colonel Webb, tracks her location. She knows that if she's in distress, help will come. She wants to see what these officers do when they think no one is watching. Or maybe it's something deeper. Something that goes back to that cinder block house in Alabama. Something that remembers all the times her parents were stopped, questioned, humiliated. Something that wants to document, to witness, to carry this experience like she's carried so many others. Whatever the reason, she reaches into bag and produces the receipt. I have a receipt for everything in this bag, officer. I purchased this item, Chanel Chance perfume, $89.99 plus tax, approximately 5 minutes ago at the Nordstrom perfume counter. The saleswoman's name was... She checks the receipt. Jennifer, you're welcome to verify. Officer Tanner takes the receipt, glances at it. His expression doesn't change. These receipts can be faked. I beg your pardon? I said these can be faked. Happens all the time. Sophisticated shoplifters print fake receipts to throw us off. He hands a receipt back to her, not into her hand, but vaguely in her direction. So she has to reach for it. A small dominance move. The kind of thing bullies do instinctively. You're welcome to call the store. They'll confirm. Ma'am, I don't have time to call anyone. I've got a report of shoplifting. I've got you leaving the store with merchandise, and I've got a job to do. He steps closer. Too close. Into her personal space. Now, you can cooperate and come with us to the security office to sort this out, or I can place you under arrest right here. Your choice. Victoria looks at the female officer. Morris, according to her name tag. Officer Morris won't meet her eyes. Officer Morris, Victoria says quietly, do you have any concerns about how this stop is being conducted? Morris flinches. Her eyes flick to Tanner, then back down to the floor. Ma'am, please cooperate with Officer Tanner. No help there. Victoria takes a breath. 40 years of military discipline. 40 years of controlling her emotions in impossible situations. 40 years of being the calmest person in rooms filled with chaos. I'll cooperate, she says, but I want it noted that I have provided a receipt offered to verify my purchase with the store and believe the stop to be without cause. Yeah. Tanner is already reaching for her arm. Turn around. Hands behind your back. Is that really necessary? I'm cooperating. Hands behind your back. And there it is, the moment she knew was coming. The moment that every Black American knows is always possible, always waiting, always just one wrong encounter away. General Victoria Hayes, 4-star general of the United States Army, turns around in a suburban shopping mall. She puts her hands behind her back, and she feels the cold metal of handcuffs close around her wrists. The click of the handcuffs is impossibly loud. Or maybe it just seems that way because suddenly everyone is looking. The mother with the stroller, the elderly couple, the teenagers who have stopped mid-conversation, phones already out, already recording. In the crowd, Martha, chin pushes forward. She's 67 years old. She was a teacher for 40 years. She served as an army nurse in Vietnam. She knows injustice when she sees it, and this is injustice. She pulls out her phone. Her hands are shaking slightly. Arthritis and age and anger, but she manages to open the camera app. She hits record. Oh my God, she says, loud enough for her phone to pick up. They're arresting her. She has a receipt. She showed them the receipt. Oh my God. Officer Tanner hears her. His head snaps around. Ma'am, step back. This is police business. This is wrong, Martha says. She doesn't step back. This woman has done nothing wrong. I saw her pay. I was in the store. I saw her pay. Ma'am, I'm not going to ask again. Step back or I'll arrest you for obstruction. Martha steps back, but she doesn't stop recording. Her phone captures everything. The handcuffs, the crowd, the expression on Victoria's face. That expression. Calm, controlled, but something else underneath. Something that looks like sorrow, but might be something much more dangerous. Let's go. Tanner grabs Victoria's arm and begins walking her through the mall. This is the perp walk, the parade of shame. The ritual humiliation that is supposed to make the arrested person feel small and make the officers feel powerful. Victoria has seen perp walks before. She's seen terrorists, war criminals, and enemy combatants walked in chains. She never thought she'd experience it herself. She walks past a food court where families stop eating to stare. A child points. His mother shushes him, but not before Victoria hears a question. "Mommy, why is that lady in trouble?" Past a fountain, where water falls in patterns that someone designed to be soothing. The sound seems very far away. Past a jewelry store, where a security guard, an older black man, maybe 60, watches her pass. Something passes between them. Recognition, not of each other, of the situation, of the ancient, ongoing humiliation that they both understand. Keep moving. Tanner's hand tightens on her arm. Victoria keeps moving. Her back is straight. Her head is high. Her stride is even and measured. She will not shuffle. She will not stumble. She will not give them the satisfaction of seeing her broken. Behind her, Martha Chun follows, still recording, still bearing witness. Around them, the mall continues. Music plays from store speakers. Children laugh somewhere in the distance. Life goes on, indifferent to the small tragedy unfolding in its midst. In exactly 22 minutes, this mall will be surrounded by federal vehicles. In exactly 22 minutes, Officer Derek Tanner's entire world will collapse. But right now, in this moment, a 4-star general walks in handcuffs past a pretzel stand that is advertising 2 for $5. The security office is everything Victoria expected. Small, windowless, fluorescent lights that give everyone a sickly pallor. A bank of monitors showing feeds from cameras throughout the mall. A desk covered with paperwork and coffee cups. The smell of stale fast food and industrial cleaner. Wayne Bridges is waiting. He's exactly what she expected too. The thick neck, the hard eyes, the suit that's trying too hard to be expensive, the gold watch that probably costs more than he should spend, the particular kind of swagger that comes from having power over people who can't fight back. Well, he looks her up and down, that assessment that strips away humanity and sees only a problem to be processed. Another one. Nice catch, Tanner. Found her leaving Nordstrom with a bag of merchandise. Claims she has a receipt, but Tanner shrugs. The shrug that says they all claim they have receipts. Have a seat. Bridges gestures to a metal chair bolted to the floor. "Officer, you want to do the honors?" Tanner walks Victoria to the chair. He uncuffs one hand, threads the cuff through a metal loop on the chair arm, and recuffs her. Now she's attached to the furniture. Now she can't leave even if she wanted to. There we go. He stands back, admiring his work. Comfortable? Victoria doesn't respond. She's watching, cataloging. The number of officers, 2 police, 1 security. The exits, 1 door, currently closed. The monitors, 12 screens, coverage of the entire mall. The filing cabinet in the corner. How many other cases are in there? Name. Bridges has a clipboard now. Victoria Hayes. Address? Victoria gives her home address in Virginia. Not the base. Her private residence. Occupation. Federal employee. Bridges snorts. Federal employee. Right. What? You work at the post office. Victoria doesn't answer. She's calculating now. Time. Distance. Response protocols. If Sergeant Williams has noticed she's been gone too long, if he's tried to reach her, if he's contacted Colonel Webb, the answer to all 3 questions is yes. In the parking lot of the Greendale Mall, Sergeant First Class Deshaun Williams is staring at his phone with growing alarm. The general's location shows the security office. She's been there for 7 minutes. She hasn't responded to his texts. He calls Colonel Webb. "Colonel, we have a situation." Handcuffed to a chair in a mall security office. A 4-star general. The first black woman to command Army Forces Command. The woman who has advised presidents and led soldiers in combat and carried the weight of 1,000,000 decisions that most of us will never have to make. Handcuffed to a chair because she went shopping while black. This is America in 2024. This is a reality that so many people refuse to see. This is why we tell these stories. If you're watching this and you feel something, anger, sadness, recognition, solidarity, I need you to do something right now. Share this video. Share it with someone who thinks this doesn't happen anymore. Share it with someone who needs to understand. Share it with anyone who will listen. Because stories like this get buried every single day. They happen in malls and stores and streets all across this country, and no one ever hears about them. The only reason you're hearing this one is because of who she is. But think about all the people who this happens to who aren't four-star generals, who don't have the Pentagon on speed dial, who can't fight back. This channel exists for them, for the hidden tales, for the stories that deserve to be told. Like and subscribe. Turn on notifications. Be part of this community. Now, let me tell you what happens when the Pentagon finds out one of their generals is in handcuffs. Colonel Marcus Webb is in his office at Fort Liberty when his phone rings. The caller ID shows Sergeant Williams, the general's driver. Williams, what's going on? Sir, the general's location shows her in the security office at Greendale Mall. She's been there for 8 minutes. She's not responding to messages. Webb feels his stomach drop. In 3 years as General Hayes' aide, he has never known her to be out of contact. She's the most disciplined officer he's ever served under. She responds to messages within minutes. Always, without exception, unless she can't. I'm tracking her now. Webb pulls up the app on his computer. The same tracking software they use for personnel security. The blue that shows General Hayes in the security office. Not moving. Has she made any calls? No, sir. Nothing incoming or outgoing for the past 11 minutes. 11 minutes. An eternity. Stay in the parking lot. Keep eyes on the exits. I'm making calls. Webb hangs up. His mind is already racing through scenarios. Medical emergency? Possible, but she would have called 911. Robbery? The mall has security. Hostage situation? Unlikely, but he pulls up her calendar. Shopping trip. Personal time. No meetings until Monday. He pulls up the mall's information. Greendale Mall. Upscale shopping center. Low crime rate. Good security. Security. The word sticks in his mind. Good security. The kind of security that follows people. The kind of security that makes assumptions. Webb has been black in America for 42 years. He knows exactly what kind of assumption he's thinking about. He picks up the phone and dials a number he never thought he'd have to use. Lieutenant General James Crawford, Deputy Chief of Staff, G3/5/7, one of the most powerful officers in the Pentagon, and one of General Hayes' oldest friends. Crawford. Sir, this is Colonel Webb, aide to General Hayes. We have a situation. What kind of situation? Sir, the general is being detained at a shopping mall in Westbrook, Virginia. I believe she may have been arrested. Silence on the line. Then say that again. I believe General Hayes has been arrested, sir. Likely on false pretenses. Possibly profiling. She's in the mall security office and has been out of contact for 12 minutes. More silence. Webb can almost hear Crawford's mind working. Which mall? Greendale Mall, sir. Westbrook, Virginia. I know that mall. My wife shops there. Crawford's voice has gone cold. Very cold. The voice of a 3-star general who has just learned that someone has made a very, very serious mistake. I'm 20 minutes away. I'm bringing everyone. Notify CD. Notify the provost marshal. And Colonel, sir, record everything. I want timestamps. I want documentation. Because when this is over, I want every person responsible to understand exactly what they did and exactly what the consequences will be. Yes, sir. Webb hangs up. Then he makes 12 more calls. In 23 minutes, the Greendale Mall is going to look like a forward operating base. Part 9, the interrogation. In the security office, Wayne Bridges is enjoying himself. This is his favorite part. The interrogation. The slow extraction of information. The way they squirm. The way they protest. The way they eventually realize that no one is coming to help them. So, Victoria, he says, leaning back in his chair, enjoying the way she flinches at the use of her first name without permission. Federal employee. That's pretty vague. What exactly do you do for the federal government? I work for the Department of Defense. Department of Defense. Bridges laughs. What? You're a secretary. File some papers, answer some phones. Victoria doesn't respond. Maybe you clean the offices? Empty the trash? Nothing wrong with that honest work, but he gestures around the room. Doesn't really explain why you're stealing perfume from Nordstrom, does it? I didn't steal anything. I paid for my purchase. The receipt is in the bag, which your officers took from me. Bridges looks at Tanner. Where's the bag? Tanner hands it over. Bridges dumps the contents on the desk. The gift-wrapped perfume. The Nordstrom tissue paper. The receipt. He picks up the receipt. Studies it. For a moment, just a moment, something flickers across his face. The receipt is real. The timestamp matches. The purchase is legitimate. But he's come too far to back down now. These can be faked, he says. The same words Tanner used. Sophisticated shoplifters print fake receipts all the time. We'll verify this with the store. Until then, he shrugs. You wait here. He doesn't verify with the store. He has no intention of verifying with the store. Because if he verifies and the receipt is real, then he has to let her go. And if he lets her go, there's no arrest. And if there's no arrest, there's no kickback. And if there's no kickback, then this whole thing has been a waste of time. Better to process her. Book her on suspicion of shoplifting. Let the court sort out. By the time her lawyer gets involved, Wayne will have his money and Derek will have his statistics, and this woman, whoever she is, will have a mugshot and an arrest record that will follow her for the rest of her life. That's how the system works. That's how it's always worked. Victoria watches him not make the call. She watches him set aside the receipt without verifying it. She watches him make the choice to proceed with false arrest despite having evidence of innocence in his hands. And she adds it to the catalog. The long, detailed catalog she's been keeping in her mind since the moment this began. Every violation, every statement, every decision point where they could have stopped and chose not to. I'd like to make a phone call, she says. You'll get your phone call when you're processed at the station. I have a right to make a phone call now. Lady, you have the right to sit there and be quiet until I decide what to do with you. Bridges stands up. I'm going to step out for a minute. Officer Tanner, keep an eye on her. He leaves. Victoria and Tanner are alone. Tanner sits on the edge of the desk, arms crossed, looking down at Victoria with the expression of someone who thinks he's in complete control. You know, he says, you should have just cooperated from the start, made things harder on yourself. Victoria looks at him, really looks at him, studies him the way she studied enemy combatants in hostile terrain and complex battlefield situations. How long have you been a police officer, Officer Tanner? 12 years. Not that it's any of your business. 12 years. And in those 12 years, how many arrests like this have you made? Black women leaving stores with merchandise they paid for. Tanner's jaw tightens. That's not what this is. No? Then what is it? This is doing my job. This is keeping the community safe. This is profiling. This is illegal detention. This is civil rights violation, waiting to be documented. Victoria's voice is calm, steady. I provided proof of purchase. I've offered to verify with the store. And instead of following basic protocol, you handcuffed me and walked me through mall in front of hundreds of people. You were acting suspicious. How? By shopping? By being black while shopping. Tanner stands up, moves closer. That same aggressive posture. That same attempt at intimidation. Listen, lady, I don't know who you think you are. No, you don't. And that's the problem. Victoria's eyes meet his. You looked at me and you saw a target. You didn't see a person. You didn't see someone who might have a story, a family, a career. You saw someone you could arrest because no one would stop you. That's not. It is, and both of us know it. The door opens. Officer Morris stands in the doorway, her face pale, her phone in her hand. Tanner, we need to talk. Now. I'm in the middle of... Now. Something in her voice makes Tanner stop. He looks at Morris, looks at her expression, looks at the phone in her hand. What is it? Morris's voice is barely a whisper. I looked her up. General Victoria Hayes, United States Army. She's... Morris swallows hard. She's a 4-star general. She commands Army Forces Command. She's one of the highest-ranking officers in the military. Tanner laughs. It's a nervous laugh, a desperate laugh, the laugh of someone who doesn't want to believe what they're hearing. That's ridiculous. Look at her. She's just what? Victoria asks quietly. Tanner turns back to her. His face has gone white. You're not? You can't be? Victoria says nothing. She doesn't need to. The truth is written all over Morris's face, written all over the phone she's still holding, showing the official Army biography page with Victoria's picture, the same face, the same eyes, but in 4-star regalia instead of a Navy cardigan. And that's when they hear it, the sound that will haunt Derek Tanner's nightmares for years to come. Helicopter rotors. The first SUV arrives at 3:21 p.m. Sergeant Williams sees it pull into the parking lot, a black Chevrolet Suburban with government plates. Move it with a kind of purpose that says whoever's inside has somewhere to be and something to prove. 3 more follow within 60 seconds. Then 2 more. They don't park in regular spaces. They position around the mall entrance, blocking key access points, establishing what any military observer would recognize as a perimeter. Williams grabs his radio. Colonel Webb, sir, the vehicles are arriving. Copy that, Williams. Stay in position. The general security detail is en route. FBI hostage rescue is 20 minutes out, but we're not waiting. General Crawford is taking point. FBI hostage rescue. Williams shakes his head. The cavalry isn't just coming. The entire damn army is coming. In the lead Suburban, Lieutenant General James Crawford checks his phone one more time. The tracking app still shows General Hayes in the security office. 23 minutes now. 23 minutes since she was detained. Crawford has known Victoria Hayes for 26 years. They were captains together at Fort Benning. They were battalion commanders in adjacent units in Iraq. They were students together at the War College, where they stayed up until 2 a.m, argue about counterinsurgency doctrine, and drinking coffee that tasted like motor oil. She is one of the finest officers he has ever known. And someone just put her in handcuffs for shopping while black. Crawford has been a soldier for 31 years. He has led men in combat. He has made decisions that cost lives and saved lives and everything in between. He has been shot at, blown up, and mortared. He has earned every ribbon on his chest through blood and sweat and sacrifice. But right now, in this moment, he is angrier than he has ever been in his entire career. Sir, we're in position. His aide, a major named Thompson, looks at him from the driver's seat. How do you want to play this? We go in hard, Crawford says. Every exit covered. MPs on standby. And someone get me the local FBI field office on the phone. I want a federal civil rights investigation opened before we walk through those doors. Yes, sir. The Suburban doors open. Lieutenant General James Crawford, in full dress uniform, 3 stars gleaming on his shoulders, steps out into Virginia sunshine. He starts walking toward them all. Behind him, a small army follows. The Pentagon just rolled up to a suburban shopping mall like it's a military objective. 6 black SUVs. A 3-star general. Military police. FBI on speed dial. This is what happens when you arrest the wrong person. This is what happens when you let bias blind you to reality. This is what happens when the person you handcuff has friends in very, very high places. But here's the thing that breaks my heart. Most people don't have a Pentagon on speed dial. Most people who get racially profiled, falsely arrested, humiliated in public, they don't have a cavalry coming. They have to fight alone. They have to hire lawyers they can't afford. They have to explain to their employers why they were arrested. They have to live with arrest records that follow them forever. General Hayes has 4 stars. She has connections. She has power. But what about everyone else? That's why these stories matter. That's why this channel exists. That's why I need you. Yes, you watching this right now to be part of this. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Tell me in the comments, have you ever been profiled? Have you ever been followed in a store? Have you ever been stopped for no reason other than who you are? Your stories matter. Your experiences matter. And the more we share, the more we shine a light on the darkness. Now, let's see what happens when a 3-star general walks into a mall security office. The security office door opens. Wayne Bridges turns, expecting one of the staff, maybe a mall manager with a question, maybe another officer with another catch. He is not expecting what walks through the door. Lieutenant General James Crawford, 54 years old, 3 stars on each shoulder, ribbons covering half his chest, steps into the small room like he's entering an enemy compound. Behind him, Colonel Webb, 2 military police officers, and a woman in a blue FBI windbreaker who looks like she's already mentally writing the arrest warrant. Crawford's eyes sweep the room. He takes in everything, the monitors, the desk, the metal chair, and then his eyes find Victoria Hayes handcuffed to that chair, still wearing her navy cardigan, still maintaining that impossible composure. V. His voice cracks just for a second. Are you hurt? I'm fine, James. She actually smiles. Just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Crawford turns to face Wayne Bridges, and every trace of warmth vanishes from his expression. What remains is the cold fury of a man who has commanded thousands in combat and is about to bring that same energy to this small, windowless room. Which one of you is in charge here? Bridges is trying to process what he's seeing. The uniform, the stars, the entourage. None of this makes sense. This was supposed to be a routine shoplifting case. A quick arrest. An easy kickback. I'm Wayne Bridges, head of security. I didn't ask your name. I asked who's in charge of this facility. That would be me, sir. Then you're the one who's going to explain to me why a 4-star general of the United States Army is handcuffed to a chair in your security office. The words take a moment to land. 4-star general. Bridges' face goes white. Actually white, like the blood has simply given up and fled his extremities. A 4-star? General Victoria Hayes. Commander, United States Army Forces Command. The first black woman to achieve 4-star rank in Army history. The woman you detained on suspicion of shoplifting after she showed you a receipt proving her purchase. Crawford steps closer. The woman you kept handcuffed to a chair for. He checks his watch. 27 minutes while I assembled a federal response team and drove here from the Pentagon. Bridges opens his mouth. Nothing comes out. In the corner, Officer Derek Tanner is having a similar experience. His brain is simply refusing to process the information. A 4-star general. He put handcuffs on a 4-star general. He perp-walked her through a mall like a common criminal. His career is over. His pension is gone. His life, as he knows it, is finished. And that's when Rachel Morris pushes through the crowd at the door. I knew it, she says, her voice cracking. I looked her up. I tried to tell them. She turns to Victoria, tears streaming down her face. Ma'am, General, I'm so sorry. I should have stopped this. I should have done something. I knew something was wrong, and I just went along with it. Victoria looks at the young officer, at the tears, at the genuine remorse. What's your name, officer? Morris, ma'am. Rachel Morris. Officer Morris. How long have you been on the force? 3 years, ma'am. And in those 3 years, how many stops like this have you participated in? Stops where the evidence suggested innocence, but the arrest happened anyway. Morris's face crumbles. I don't know. Dozens. Maybe more. I want you to remember this moment. Victoria's voice is gentle, but firm. This is what it looks like when the system fails. This is what it looks like when good people stay silent. And this is what it looks like when you have a chance to choose differently. She looks at Crawford. I want Officer Morris's cooperation noted. When the investigation happens, and it will happen, her willingness to speak up should be considered. Crawford nods. Noted. He turns to the FBI agent. Agent Reyes, you're lead on the federal civil rights investigation. I want full documentation. I want interviews with every officer involved. I want records of every arrest process through the security office for the past 5 years. Yes, sir. And get the keys to those handcuffs. Now. The next 48 hours are masterclass in how quickly a system can unravel when the right pressure is applied. By 6 p.m. on the day of the arrest, FBI agents have seized all records from the Greendale Mall security office. They find what General Hayes suspected, a kickback scheme involving mall security, the Westbrook Police Department, and a private pre-trial services company that charges defendants thousands of dollars in fees. By 9 p.m., the local news has a story. A 4-star general arrested for shoplifting. The footage Marthachin recorded, steady, clear, undeniable, plays on every channel. Social media explodes. The hashtag Justice for General Hayes trends within hours. By midnight, the Department of Justice has opened a federal pattern or practice investigation into the Westbrook Police Department. The initial evidence suggests systemic civil rights violations targeting black shoppers at multiple retail locations in the city. By the next morning, Wayne Bridges is in federal custody. The charges: civil rights violations, conspiracy to deprive persons of constitutional rights, and fraud. His lawyers ask for bail. It is denied. Officer Derek Tanner is suspended pending investigation. His union representative starts distancing the organization from him before the first questions are even asked, and the victims start coming forward. First 1, then 10, then 50. People who were arrested for shoplifting at Greendale Mall despite having receipts. People who paid thousands in legal fees to clear their names. People who lost jobs because of arrest records. People who were too afraid to fight back, who didn't have the resources, who didn't have a Pentagon on speed dial. 237 arrests in 4 years. 173 of them black. In a city that is 22% black. Keisha Washington is one of them. She's 34, a registered nurse, mother of 2. 6 months before General Hayes walked into that mall, Keisha was arrested for allegedly shoplifting a pair of earrings. She had a receipt. It didn't matter. She spent 8 hours in custody before her husband could post bail. She lost her job. The hospital couldn't employ someone with a pending shoplifting charge. By the time the charges were dropped, the prosecutor finally acknowledged the receipt was legitimate. The damage was done. Her nursing license review took 4 months. She burned through their savings on legal fees. When I saw that video, Keisha tells a reporter, tears streaming down her face, when I saw them put her in handcuffs, I felt sick. Because that's exactly what they did to me. Exactly. But no one came for me. No 3-star general. No FBI. I had to fight alone. She's not alone anymore. By the end of the week, a class action lawsuit has been filed on behalf of 47 victims. The legal team expects that number to triple. The city is already discussing settlement options. The mayor has called for an independent review of all police practices, and General Victoria Hayes holds a press conference. 237 arrests, 173 black shoppers. Years of this. Years of people having their lives disrupted, their reputations destroyed, their faith in justice shattered. And it took a 4-star general to expose it. Not because the system worked. Not because checks and balances caught the corruption, but because they made the mistake of targeting someone with the power to fight back. This story is not just about General Hayes. It's about every Keisha Washington, every person who was wronged and couldn't get justice, every voice that was silenced because they didn't have 4 stars on their shoulders. This is why I make these videos. This is why this channel exists. If this story moved you, if it made you angry or sad or determined to do something, then be part of this. Subscribe, like, share, tell someone else, and comment below with your own experiences, because your stories matter too. Your truth deserves to be heard. Now let me tell you what General Hayes said at that press conference, because it wasn't what anyone expected. The press conference is held at Fort Liberty, formerly Fort Bragg, 3 days after the incident. The room is packed with reporters from every major outlet. Cameras flash constantly. The noise level makes it hard to hear. And then General Victoria Hayes walks to the podium. She's in full dress uniform for the first time since this all began. 4 stars on each shoulder, ribbons covering her chest, the Distinguished Service Medal, the Legion of Merit with 4 oak leaf clusters, the Bronze Star. Every decoration she has earned over 40 years of service to her country. The room falls silent. 3 days ago, she begins, I went shopping. I purchased a birthday gift for my goddaughter, and I was arrested. She pauses, lets the words settle. I was arrested because I am a black woman, not because of anything I did, not because of any crime I committed, but because of the color of my skin and the assumptions that color triggers in certain minds. The cameras keep flashing. No one speaks. I am a 4-star general. I command over 750,000 soldiers. I have served this nation for 40 years. I have been wounded in combat. I have buried soldiers under my command. I have made decisions that shaped the course of military history. Another pause, and none of that mattered. When Officer Derek Tanner looked at me, he didn't see my service. He didn't see my rank. He didn't see my humanity. He saw a black woman who, in his mind, didn't belong. And so he put me in handcuffs. She looks directly into the cameras. But here's what I need you to understand. What happened to me happened to black Americans every single day. In malls, in stores, on streets, in their own neighborhoods. It happens to people who don't have 4 stars on their shoulders. People who don't have the Pentagon on speed dial. People who can't fight back. General Hayes looks down at her notes, then sets them aside. When I was handcuffed to that chair, I thought about my father, James Hayes, Korean War veteran, Bronze Star recipient. He came home from war to a country that wouldn't serve him at a lunch counter. He couldn't find work. He had to move his family 1,000 miles just to find a factory that would let him earn an honest living. Her voice trembles slightly. For the first time, emotion cracks through the composure. My father is 92 years old. He's in a wheelchair now. But when I called him after this happened, when I told him what had been done to me, you know what he said? She wipes her eye. Just once. A single tear. He said, I'm sorry, baby girl. I thought we fixed this. I thought your generation wouldn't have to deal with what mine did. And I had to tell him, no, Daddy, we're still fighting. The battle you fought isn't over. It just changed shape. The room is absolutely silent. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to disappear. I'm not going to let this blow over. I'm going to use every ounce of influence I have to make sure that what happened to me and what happened to the 236 other people that security office victimized never happens again. She straightens. I am announcing the establishment of the Hayes Foundation for Justice Reform. This foundation will provide legal assistance to victims of racial profiling and false arrest. It will fund body camera programs in police departments that don't have them. It will support training programs that teach officers to see people, all people, as human beings deserving of dignity and respect. She looks at the cameras one last time. I did not ask for this fight, but I have never backed down from a fight in my life, and I am not about to start now. She steps back from the podium. The room erupts in questions. She doesn't answer any of them. She's already said everything that needs to be said. 6 months later, Officer Rachel Morris stands in a community center in Westbrook, Virginia, facing a room full of skeptical faces. Black faces, brown faces, people who have no reason to trust anyone in a police uniform. She's not in uniform today. She resigned from the Westbrook Police Department 3 weeks after General Hayes' arrest. She couldn't be part of a system that allowed what happened to happen. She couldn't look at her badge without seeing the handcuffs she should have protested. But she couldn't just walk away, either. My name is Rachel Morris, she says, her voice shaking slightly. 6 months ago, I participated in the wrongful arrest of General Victoria Hayes. I stood by while my partner put handcuffs on an innocent woman. I didn't speak up. I didn't intervene. I went along with it, because that's what I had been trained to do. The audience watches her, silent, skeptical. I'm not here to ask for forgiveness. I'm not here to make excuses. I'm here because I need to do something. Because staying silent wasn't just wrong, it was a choice. And I have to live with that choice for the rest of my life. She takes a breath. General Hayes told me something that day. She said, "This is what it looks like when good people stay silent." And she was right. I was silent. I let bad things happen because I was afraid of my partner, afraid of the system, afraid of what speaking up would cost me. She looks around the room. I'm not afraid anymore, and I'm spending the rest of my life trying to make up for the times I was. Rachel Morris now works for the Hayes Foundation for Justice Reform. She travels to communities across the country, speaking to police departments about implicit bias, to community groups about their rights, to young people about the importance of speaking up even when it's hard. She'll never undo what she did that day. She knows that, but she can make sure it wasn't for nothing. Derek Tanner pleaded guilty to federal civil rights violations. He was sentenced to 18 months in federal prison and will never work in law enforcement again. During a sentencing hearing, he broke down in tears. He said he'd never thought of himself as racist. He said he was just doing his job. He said he didn't know. The judge was not moved. Ignorance, she said, is not an excuse. It is a choice. Every day you chose not to examine your assumptions. Every day you chose not to question your biases. Every day you chose to see certain people as suspects and others as customers. You made those choices, and now you face the consequences. Tanner is in a minimum security facility in Virginia. He has a lot of time to think about what he did. Maybe he'll emerge a different man. Maybe he won't. But either way, he'll never put another innocent person in handcuffs. Wayne Bridges received a different sentence. 10 years federal prison for his role in the conspiracy. The kickback scheme had netted him over $400,000 over 4 years. He'll have a long time to contemplate whether it was worth it. The city of Westbrook settled a class action lawsuit for $14.7 million. Every victim received compensation. More importantly, every victim received an official apology and the expungement of their arrest records. Keisha Washington was able to return to nursing. The hospital that fired her offered her job back with back pay. She accepted, but only after they agreed to implement new policies protecting employees from termination based on unverified arrest reports. And General Victoria Hayes continued to serve. She didn't retire. She didn't step back from public life. She commanded Army Forces Command for another 2 years, overseeing the training and readiness of the largest military force in the world. When she finally did retire, at age 60, it was on her own terms, not pushed out by scandal, not diminished by what happened. She walked out with her head high, her record intact, and a legacy that extended far beyond her military service. The Hayes Foundation has provided legal assistance to over 3,000 victims of racial profiling in its first 2 years of operation. It has funded body camera programs in 47 police departments. It has trained over 10,000 officers in implicit bias recognition. And every year on March 15th, the anniversary of her arrest, General Hayes returns to the Greendale Mall. She walks through the doors. She visits the Nordstrom perfume counter. She buys something small. And she remembers, not for herself, but for everyone who walked through those doors and didn't have 4 stars on their shoulders. For everyone who was followed, suspected, accused, arrested. For everyone who couldn't fight back. She remembers, so that they won't be forgotten. From handcuffs to foundation, from injustice to reform, from one woman's terrible day to a movement that has helped thousands. This is what happens when someone refuses to stay silent, when someone takes their pain and turns it into purpose, when someone decides that what happened to them won't just be about them, it will be about everyone. General Victoria Hayes could have moved on, could have let this become just another story, fading from headlines, forgotten in a year. Instead, she built something. She created something. She took the worst moment of her public life and transformed it into the best work of her legacy. That's what heroes do. And that's what this channel celebrates. The hidden tales. The heroes who don't make the front page. The warriors who fight battles that no one sees. If you've made it this far in this video, you're part of this community. You're part of this movement. And I need you to do something. In the comments, I want you to share one thing. What would you do if this happened to you? How would you respond? What would you build from the wreckage? Your answers might inspire someone else. Your words might give someone hope. Your story might be the one that changes everything. That's the power of community. That's the power of sharing our stories. Now, let me tell you how this all ends. Because it ends the way all the best stories end, with hope. 2 years after the incident, General Victoria Hayes, now retired, sits in her home office in Virginia, going through her mail. Most of it is routine, foundation business, invitations to speak, requests for interviews she will politely decline. But one envelope catches her eye. It's handwritten. The return address is a federal correctional facility in Virginia. She opens it. Dear General Hayes, you don't know me, but I know you. I'm Derek Tanner, the officer who put you in handcuffs at Greendale Mall. I've been in prison for 11 months now. I've had a lot of time to think about what I did that day, what I've been doing for years before that, the people I hurt, the lives I damaged, the assumptions I made without ever questioning why. For a long time, I blamed everyone but myself. The training, the system, the pressure to make arrests. But that's not the truth. The truth is, I saw what I wanted to see. I made choices that I didn't have to make, and those choices hurt people. I don't expect your forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know that you changed my life, not just by sending me to prison, although that too, but by the way you stood in that security office, the way you looked at me, like you saw exactly who I was, and you were already thinking about how to help me become someone better. You asked me during the investigation why I became a cop. I gave some answer about wanting to help people, which was true once. But the real truth is I wanted to feel powerful. I wanted to feel like I mattered. And the easiest way to feel powerful is to have power over people who can't fight back. You showed me what real power looks like. It's not handcuffs. It's not a badge. It's the ability to transform something terrible into something meaningful. It's building a foundation that helps thousands of people. It's turning your worst day into other people's best chance. I'm getting out in 7 months. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. I can't be a cop anymore, and honestly, I shouldn't be. But I want to do something good. Something that helps instead of hurts. Something that makes up even a little for the damage I've done. I don't know if you'll read this. I don't know if you'll respond. But I wanted you to know you were right. When good people stay silent, bad things happen. I was a bad person who thought he was good. Maybe now I can be a good person who knows he was bad. Thank you for showing me the difference. Derek Tanner. General Hayes reads the letter twice. Then she picks up her phone and calls the director of the Hayes Foundation. I need you to set up a meeting, she says. There's someone I want to add to our reentry employment program. From a cinder block house in Alabama to a 4-star general. From handcuffs in a mall to a foundation that has changed thousands of lives. From an officer who saw only skin color to a man who finally learned to see humanity. This is the story of General Victoria Hayes. But it's also the story of America, of where we've been and where we're going, of the work we've done and the work we still have to do. It's not a finished story. It never will be. As long as there are people who judge others by the color of their skin instead of the content of their character. As long as there are systems that protect the powerful and punish the powerless. As long as there are silent witnesses who don't speak up when they should, the work continues. But here's what I believe. Every voice matters. Every story matters. Every person who stands up and says this is wrong makes it a little harder for wrong to continue. That's why this channel exists. That's why I tell these stories. That's why I need you. Subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Like this video and share it with everyone you know. And comment. Tell me your story. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me what this meant to you. We're building something here. A community of people who believe that hidden tales deserve to be told. That silent heroes deserve to be celebrated. That justice, real justice, is worth fighting for. This is U.S. Army Hidden Tales. These are the stories they don't want you to know. And as long as I'm making these videos, someone will remember. I'll see you in the next one.